Bravo, Eugenia, the lean giant that rewrote quiet luxury. If I told you the most important luxury on this 357-foot flagship isn't marble or a helipad, but an energy decision hidden below deck, you might raise an eyebrow. Stick with me. By the end, I'll reveal the single design choice that explains why Bravo Eugenia feels calmer, travels farther on less, and keeps showing up in the right harbors at the right time, and why that choice, more than the headlines, is the reason this yacht wins real weeks at sea. Delivered in late 2018 by Dutch builder Oceanco and named for the owner's wife, Bravo Eugenia is the kind of Northern European thoroughbred that looks unhurried even when she's moving. The exterior lines by Nuvolari Lenard are long and clean, with that arrow stance the studio loves. Inside, Reymond Langton's language is confident and contemporary without turning the boat into a museum. On the dock, you notice the scale. On board, you feel the restraint. The spaces don't shout. They breathe. The whole boat reads like a quiet, modern house that happens to cross oceans. Overview. What this yacht is really for. Bravo Eugenia doesn't try to be the loudest silhouette in the bay. She tries to be the best place to live for a week with people you actually care about. The mission is long-range family cruising and serious hosting without the usual friction. Arrivals on your own clock. Wellness that feels like a routine instead of a production. Dinners that stretch because the room tone stays civilized. 2 helipads mean your schedule belongs to you. A beach club spa with sauna, steam, plunge, and treatment space turns mornings into rituals. A real gym means you can earn dessert. And that tender flow through the side doors keeps toys fun without turning every launch into a spectator sport. This is a super yacht built to make a whole day feel easy, not just the first 5 minutes. The design team leaned into geometry that pays off in human terms. Sightlines stay low and wide so you never feel boxed in. Deck camber and rail heights keep wind civilized at speed. Interiors layer light and texture instead of shouting, "Look at me." You can tell when a boat was designed around the way people actually move. Bravo Eugenia has that "of course" logic on every level. The joke in my notes says the boat is all welcome, zero theater. And that's meant as high praise. Key features you actually use. The outdoor terraces work like a resort that just happens to travel. After you get a pool that integrates with the lounge instead of acting like a moat. Upper decks deliver shade without stealing the sky, so lunches don't become napkin rodeos when the breeze freshens. Forward, the certified touch-and-go pads aren't props. They're infrastructure. When arrivals and departures happen on your clock, destinations tighten up, and your day expands. Inside, the palette stays calm. Light maple tones balanced by darker architectural accents, soft textures, flattering light. It's modern without being fragile. The salons switch gears from daytime spread out to evening cinematic without shuffling the whole room. The owner's domain behaves like a private apartment, a real dressing routine, a study that invites work, and direct access to a 4-deck retreat that will spoil you for every balcony you've ever had on land. And the in-service detail I love most is the way sound disappears. Doors close with a hush. HVAC doesn't announce itself. And conversations stay human when a table hits 8 or 10. Specifications you can feel. Think in round numbers you can quote without a spreadsheet. Length overall sits at about 357 feet, with a beam a touch over 53 feet and a draft around 13 feet. She's steel below, aluminum above, and settles into a confident 14-knot cruise with headroom to stretch toward the high teens when a weather window asks for it. Guest life centers around 7 suites for 14, supported by a crew of roughly 30, exactly the ratio that makes service anticipatory rather than reactive. Underway, she's a low-vibration, low-drama traveler. At anchor, the stabilization logic keeps glassware honest, even when the bay gets ideas at 3 a.m. Range at economical speed puts transoceanic legs firmly on the menu, which means rooting freedom without living on a fuel hose. Those are numbers, useful ones. But the important thing is how they become feelings. The beam reads as elbow room at the dining table and easy circulation after breakfast. The length reads as space for parallel plans. Someone's on a call, someone's in the gym, someone's finishing a book on the foredeck, and nobody's stepping on anyone else's day. That's not an accident. That's design math translating into life. Design DNA, the life mindset. Oceanco and its partners developed a long, innovative, fuel-efficient, eco-conscious mindset for this platform. And bravo, Eugenia is the proof of concept. The hull form and weight discipline are there, but the real signature is how the mechanical heart works hand-in-glove with the hotel load. Heat and energy recovery systems capture what used to be waste. Batteries flatten out power demand so the boat doesn't roar when she can whisper. You hear it most when she's ghosting into a city. There are videos of Bravo sliding up a river almost silently. And you feel it most on long legs, when the ambient sound stays a gentle, steady hush. People call this quiet luxury. I call it manners. Even the aesthetic choices reflect that philosophy. Nuvolari Lenard's arrow stance pushes volume forward for poise, while Reymond Langton plays in a material library that's rich without being loud. The interior moves like a high-end residence. Maple textures, pearl notes, darker contrasts, so you don't feel like you're in a floating nightclub at 10 a.m. on Wednesday. If the brief was grown-up calm, the team delivered. Performance and range. The pace that wins weeks. Bravo. Eugenia's sweet spot is that honest mid-teens cruise where the hull hums and the day stays civilized. Call the top end around the high teens when you need it. But the value lives in how she strings together real roots at a fuel sip rather than a gulp. Range at economical speed covers the obvious non-stops, and then some, which turns itineraries into choices rather than compromises. The helipads close the last-mile gap when airports don't cooperate. And because the mechanical heartbeat doesn't broadcast, you arrive without that end-of-day fatigue. Certain boats sneak into the schedule. I've stepped off similar hybrids after long legs and realized I spoke in a normal voice the entire day. It sounds minor. It isn't. A quick driving note. The ride settles, the pitch is composed, and crew get a cockpit that doesn't fight them when the forecast changes. Passengers feel that downstream as we landed on time with our personalities intact, which, to be fair, should be the whole point. Interior life, quiet, cinematic, human scale. The salons carry a calm that you notice in your shoulders. Light pours in where you want it. Reflections are edited where you don't. Materials earn their keep up close. Nothing squeaks or rattles when you lean on it, and the floor never plays tricks with your balance during a conversation. On some boats, you can feel where the styling team want to fight with the naval architects. Here you feel collaboration. The result is evenings that slow down naturally. Music sits warm in the room. People linger. Cabins double down on rest. Bedding and acoustics turn 6 hours into real sleep instead of airplane nap math. Baths behave like proper suites. Room to move, light you control, water pressure that doesn't feel like a polite suggestion. It's the compound effect of 1,000 sensible decisions. The kind of luxury that never makes a thumbnail, but makes a week. Money talk, price, operating reality, and value. Reported build cost lives in the $250 million neighborhood, which is a sentence that reads like a flex until you consider what's included. Northern European craftsmanship at this scale, 2 helipads, a full wellness circuit, and a hybrid forward energy strategy baked into the bones. The number matters because it tells you who the boat is for. Owners who value quiet, capability, and schedule control as much as gallery walls and stonework. On the annual side, you're in 8-figure territory to keep a yacht of this size perfect. 30 crew looked after, maintenance cycles on time, fuel logistics sorted, insurance paid, the works. None of that is romantic. All of it is the reason the experience never feels like work. The market takeaway is simpler. Boats like this hold attention because they erase friction. If luxury is measured by how little effort you feel while doing exactly what you want, bravo, Eugenia's spreadsheet starts to make emotional sense. Comparisons that clarify the mission. In the 100-meter class, you'll find louder silhouettes, taller statements, and sprintier hulls. If your KPI is dockside spectacle, there are boats that chase that brief relentlessly. Bravo! Eugenia chooses a different hill to die on. Livability, silence, and range, wrapped in a form that photographs beautifully without trying too hard. She's the yacht equivalent of choosing a flagship sedan with a sublime cabin over a track special that beats you up after an hour. There's no wrong answer, only what you want to feel at 10 p.m. after a long day of actually using the boat. A day aboard, how it really feels. Picture a sunrise helo arrival that takes you from runway to foredeck in 6 minutes flat. Coffee appears on the upper terrace and the wind behaves. A tender slides out of the side door for a quick swim run that doesn't tangle everyone else's morning. Lunch under shade sounds like a living room, not a wind tunnel. Spa circuit at 4, steam, cold plunge, massage, and the only complaint you'll hear is someone asking for 5 more minutes. Golden hour lands on the aft pool, and the water and sky agree on a color. Dinner runs long because the room tone is perfect. Later you walk forward, and the city glows, while the boat hums almost imperceptibly. You sleep. You wake up yourself. That's the Bravo Eugenia effect. My take. I spend my life inside spec sheets, and I've learned to respect the machines that turn numbers into feelings. Bravo, Eugenia is one of them. The exterior is elegant without being precious. The interior is rich without being loud. The mechanical heart is modern in a way you hear only as absence. Less roar, less whoosh, less fuss. If your goal is magazine covers, you have choices. If your goal is a week where everyone relaxes into their best selves, this is the short list. And yes, I did once call the bow a front patio by accident. The crew corrected me, politely. The reveal. You waited for the secret, so here it is. The decisive luxury isn't an object. It's the choice to go hybrid forward and more electric, to pull big hotel loads off smarter generation and batteries, to capture waste heat and energy, to let the engines spend more of their life making thrust instead of plumbing the ship. That single decision is the hinge that swings open quieter rooms, smoother power delivery, softer soundtracks, and better range. It's not flashy. It's foundational. And it's why Bravo Eugenia doesn't just look different when she slides into a harbor. She feels different when you live with her. If this deep dive helped you see past the glossy photos into the choices that make life on board feel effortless, hit subscribe So YouTube brings you our next premiere. Drop your take below. Would you trade a knot of top-end speed for a week of near-silent mornings and battery-smooth arrivals? I'm featuring the sharpest answer next episode. For members-only polls and behind-the-scenes notes, tap Join. If this video made your day, use Super Thanks. Your highlighted comment powers the next investigation and gets a shout-out on screen.